Matthew Perry's struggle with addiction has been public knowledge for quite some time. The good news, he's finally won the war and has detailed every part of the experience in his new memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Join FactsVerse as we bring you up to speed on Perry's addiction and how he's still alive despite having a 2% survival chance. His addiction. Like many aspiring actors, Matthew Perry yearned for the spotlight. In 2002, he confessed to the New York Times that he wanted fame so badly steam was coming out of his ears. Perry's wish was fulfilled in 1994 when he was cast as the sarcastic and clever Chandler Bing on Friends. The actor's turn in the ensemble comedy couldn't have come at a better time after he'd been in a succession of flops. Unfortunately, Perry's private life was nothing to giggle at, despite the show's popularity, with about 34 million viewers in its first season alone. He was hiding a dark secret. It may have looked like he was living the high life from the outside, but he was actually suffering from severe loneliness due to his drinking. At 24, when he was cast in Friends, Perry was just beginning to experience problems with alcohol, but he was still able to cope. However, he'd really gotten himself into a lot of difficulties by the time he was 34. Perry was using 55 Vicodin daily and had dropped to 128 pounds at his lowest point during his Friends' reign, which was horrifying. At that time, he realized he needed to break his habit, but had no idea how. According to an interview with People magazine, if the police had been to his house and warned him that if he drank tonight he'd be taken to jail, he'd immediately have begun packing. That's how dependent he was on alcohol. During an interview with BBC Radio 2's host Steve Evans, Perry admitted he doesn't remember 3 years of his run in Friends, somewhere between seasons 3 and 6. How it all began. Perry claims he never set out to develop an alcohol dependency, but he always appreciated the way drinking made him feel. After alcoholism had become a regular part of his life, he was injured in a jet ski accident in 1997. Drugs also came into play when he received a Vicodin prescription. That led him down a path of alcoholism where he frequently showed up to work drunk. Surprisingly, he had a strange rule that he would never consume alcohol while working, but he would still report to work in the worst circumstances of a hangover. In 1997, Perry spent 28 days in treatment at the Hazelden facility in Minnesota. For a short time, he was able to maintain his sobriety. He was later admitted to the hospital and kept there for 2 weeks when he got afflicted with alcohol-induced pancreatitis. In February of 2001, when the situation reached its worst, Perry finally made the decision to call for assistance. During that time, he had fewer than 2 weeks remaining to shoot Serving Sarah, but for his sake, production was halted for 2 months. Perry was able to complete Serving Sarah, return to Friends, and better himself after spending 2.5 months at a private rehabilitation program. In 2002, Perry said to the New York Times that he didn't stop drinking because he wanted to, but because he was afraid he would die the following day. He started a sober living facility for guys in Malibu called the Perry House in 2013. He considers one of his greatest strengths as being able and willing to assist any alcoholic who approaches him with the question, "Will you help me stop drinking?" Later on, Perry spent 3 months in the hospital in 2018 after suffering a gastrointestinal perforation and needing surgery to close the hole. The Friends alum who nearly died at age 49 after his colon burst due to opioid addiction spoke out about his ordeal earlier this year. When he was originally brought in, the doctors gave him a 2% chance of survival at best. An extracorporeal membrane oxygenation system was used to provide him with oxygen, and this device takes over the body's natural breathing mechanisms. Perry claims his situation was a Hail Mary since the odds of survival were so low. The scars from his 14 stomach operations, he said, are constant reminders of his health crisis and have helped him maintain sobriety. While speaking to the media, he added his therapist advised the next time he thinks about taking OxyContin, he should just think about having a colostomy bag for the rest of his life. Friends rallied around him. Perry's never shy about thanking his Friends co-stars for supporting him while his addiction was at its worst. While filming Friends, Perry disclosed his struggles with his addictions and other health problems. His co-stars, including Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer, were there for him every step of the way, publicly and privately demonstrating support. He praises their tolerance and compassion. He also said he would rather never have to face addiction than have all the wealth and fame he has now. He said while the paycheck was nice, Friends helped save his life because of the creative outlet it provided. His friendship with the cast members have endured, as evidenced by the 2021 HBO Max reunion. Friends co-creator Marta Kaufman said it was heart-wrenching and horrifying to see Perry fight his addictions. She recalls approaching him on the first episode of the last season and expressing her delight at having him back. Later on, Kaufman explained the system that was put in place to assist Perry. She said most people on set were aware of parts of it and had conversations about it. In January 2020, she spoke to Us Weekly and other reporters about the group's collective protection, optimism, and support for Perry during his ordeal. His new book. The actor's memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, out November 1st, is a work of tragic beauty, chronicling his life through its great highs and devastating lows. Perry reveals he came dangerously close to dying when he was only 49 years old. He's detailed the time he had a gastrointestinal rupture and went into detail about how he spent 2 weeks in a coma, 5 months in the hospital, and 9 months with a colostomy bag after his colon burst due to opioid overuse. Given that he had to abstain until he was free of the active disease of alcoholism and addiction, he considers this the best moment to share the book with the world. The fact that he knew it would be beneficial to others was also crucial. Though he's had a lot of trouble staying clean, particularly while filming Friends, he managed to stay sober for the entirety of season 9. Perry is honest about his relapses. In his book, he said he's been to treatment centers 15 times over the years and is now healthy and well-versed in the tools he needs to stay sober. Although he doesn't wish to reveal his current sobriety streak length, he is keeping track. Even if you relapse and end up drinking again, he says, you still have the years you spent sober and the knowledge you gained to fall back on. Your new sober date is the only thing that alters. Perry's newfound resolve to assist those who have also battled substance abuse is unwavering. He was the solitary survivor of the 5 individuals placed on an ECMO machine the same night he was admitted. To top it off, he claims the experience has left him with a profound question that makes him humbled and grateful. He claims readers would be shocked by how awful things became at times and how close he came to death, but that if he did die, it would shock people but not surprise anyone. At the moment, he hopes readers will be able to relate to the material of the book and see that this affliction strikes anybody, regardless of whether you're successful or not. The journey, albeit dark at times, has made Perry stronger in every aspect. Additionally, he mentioned the book is full of optimism because he's managed to make it to the other side of the tunnel. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you plan to read Matthew Perry's book? Let us know in the comments section below.